for another episode of the Freedom Series live stream. Today, I'm blessed to be joined none other than Maybelline McCloud. How you doing today, darling?
I'm excited.
Excited, maybe a little bit nervous.
A little bit nervous, yes, but you have me. You have. I have you.
Yeah, it's going to be amazing. Today, I want to share. You've been instrumental with both your assistants within the Game Changers and the amazing outsourced team we have here, team of VAs, virtual assistants from the Philippines, but also more recently in your role within Alchemy Outsourcing, which is around like chief recruitment extraordinaire.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm actually wearing many different hats under Alchemy Outsourcing. So yeah.
Outstanding. All right. So hang on a second. So if you're tuning in live from any of the platforms out there in the interwebs today, welcome. If this is your first live stream show, welcome. Trusting a huge value. If you've been watching us for the past couple of weeks, no doubt you've had and seen some amazing interviews so far. And this will be even better than those prior, because what I want to dive into is, I guess, how we can better utilize the assistance of virtual assistants to be able to help us as business owners to grow. You know, a lot of business owners get way too busy wearing all the hats and doing a lot of tasks that aren't necessarily in their best skill set or aren't the most profitable for them to do, because they kind of have this belief that if I spend time, I save money. Yet it's a little bit of a poverty mentality, spending time to save money, where we should be looking to spend money to save time, provided that the money that we're spending saves us time that we can invest into higher growth areas. Now, that being said, my team are trawling the different platforms online, here to sort of feed your questions through to us at any point in time. So if you have questions for me or Maybelline, please jump in the chat, let us know. Also show a bit of love and hit the like or love button to let us know that you're here and that you're watching the series as well. So May, tell us, how long have you been a VA for, or virtual assistants?
Well, I was embraced by you in November of 2018. So that's almost 2 years or 18 months.
Yeah.
And yeah.
And so prior to that, you worked for Walmart Canada. I think you were the manager there, overseeing a team of like 200 VAs.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah,
that's right. So I was actually, all my life I was a leader, you know. So I have 14 years of experience in the corporate world. I did handle G Money Bank, and then the last 5 years I was in Walmart Canada, you know, handling hundreds of people, managing different departments, managing different kinds of roles. And, you know, it's just amazing that I was able to find my fulfillment in that respect, and was able to achieve a lot of, you know, successes every stage of my career in the corporate world. And now I am into the same journey with the Game Changers, and now with Alchemy Outsourcing, you know, trying to just do the same thing and be successful at anything that I do so that I feel fulfilled.
Yeah, outstanding. And I think there's a beautiful opportunity right now because, you know, over the recent months, most businesses were forced to go online or to go work from home, which was for many years not an opportunity for most businesses. You know, most businesses, most corporations had employees working from a singular office or from a building of some sort. And staff, I know Tim Ferriss spoke about in his 4-hour work week, you know, how you could use certain scripts to negotiate with your boss to work from home. Yet most people were still shown that they had to turn up. Yet through the last recent months, you know, many people have had to continue working, but have been forced to work from home, to the point now that many business owners are making new decisions around whether or not there's an opportunity to allow their staff to work from home, because in many cases they've found that they're potentially more profitable and they're more productive as well. So tell me, like, what do you think is some advantages around utilizing, you know, virtual workforces?
Well, there are a lot of things that you can consider when you're wanting to employ like virtual workforce, you know, like benefits, like you don't even have to worry about their laptop or their computer, their headset. You don't have to worry about benefits like health card or any bonuses or anything like that, because virtual assistants actually create their own incentives and benefits, and they're just at home. And there are a lot of, when you're in a corporate setup, an office-based setup, there are a lot of distractions there. You're going to have to deal with politics. You're going to have to deal with a lot of people bothering you, unnecessary meetings. And similar to when Anna, your director, was interviewing me, I told her that if I'm like productive 100%, even with all these distractions at work, how much more can I be productive at home doing amazing things for my clients when I don't even have to worry about whether or not my children came home safely from school, or if they did their homework right and all that. So it's amazing. So the productivity will be higher. And at the same time, the clients would enjoy the skills and talents that these individuals, like myself, will be able to bring to the table, because we've worked with huge corporations who have set our minds up in terms of systemizing businesses. We know how it looks like, what done looks like,
Yeah.
and professionalism too is there.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a good point you raise. And I guess we've been outsourcing work for a long time now. And I remember back when we first started, maybe 7 or 8 years ago, the talent pool was not what it is today. There has been leaps and bounds in terms of, and the interwebs have certainly helped with that, but the skill set of virtual assistants. And what I'm constantly astounded by is the level of skills, number one, that Filipino staff have, and not just Filipino, but all outsourced teams for that matter. Number two, I find that typically speaking, and this is no disrespect to Westerners, in my opinion, their work ethic is better than Westerners in most cases, not all cases, but in most cases, their work ethic's there. And from a cultural perspective, they're just lovely people that want to do anything to help you out. Now, that being said, though, there's a lot of challenges we faced when we first started getting on board VAs, because you can't necessarily treat them the same way as what you could Western staff. It took me a long time to realize, but what I found is Western staff can be more driven by KPIs and financial remunerations and things like that. Now, it's not to say that virtual teams can't be driven by those things as well. But in my experience, I found that if you spend the time to care about your virtual team members' family, their home environment, their upbringing, their children, things like that, they're more inclined, you don't have to ask them to hit KPIs. They're driven to hit KPIs because they want to make you happy and they want to do the right thing by the business. More so, generally speaking, again, than Western type staff. Now, although I think you should still have those same attitudes and mentalities to Western staff, i.e. caring about their family and things like that, I've just found that was a significant difference and almost a key that unlocked us getting a lot more success. Is really caring about them and looking after their family environment. Now, you said before, they don't need health cards, they don't need bonuses or paid holidays and stuff like that, but they're also not it's not slave labor either. We pay our VAs very, very well. We provide bonuses to our VAs and incentives. I often buy them things that, I had a team member that wanted to go and buy themselves a new computer to service the business. Now, we never asked for that, but I see that initiative and I see them wanting to do the right thing by us. And I'm like, hey, why don't we pay for that? Or why don't we pay for half of that? Because they haven't done it asking us for money. They've done it to make their job easy and to make their skills better for the company, which shows their dedication and commitment. If you're online right now, I'd love to know, how many of you are currently utilizing outsourced staff, whether it be that you're hiring someone for a project basis through Upwork, or whether you've got a part-time or a full-time VA on board? Just comment in the chat and let me know, are you currently utilizing outsourced staff? There's a comment here from, you got a fan here, Christy Harper. She said, I'm so happy with the VA you have found me. What a blessing your skills are. Thank you. Kath Madelaide, I can imagine VA skills vary from country to country. Tell us what strengths and pros most of these countries have. Great question. Let's speak more so specifically, I guess, about the Philippines for now. We've used a lot with Philippines, and we used a lot with India. I found personally with India, there's some really good skill sets there around tech and IT type of things. But that being said, I personally have not found a role that I haven't been able to find a Filipino staff member to fulfill. We were told years ago, you'll never get Filipinos to do sales calls and appointment setting. And I said, watch. And we now have a team of them that do an outstanding job at that. Client care functionality, payment processing, graphic design, you name it, they could do it. But May, like in your opinion, like what do you feel are the strengths of the VAs that you get a chance to work with and employ and place with other companies?
A lot of things are coming to my mind in terms of, let's talk about Filipinos here. You know, Filipinos have that, you know, first of all, they know they can speak better well. You know, they can speak the language, the English language, better than most. So that's the key, one of the key ingredients in terms of having a good relationship with their clients, and because that's because of their exposure to Westerners. So they can talk to you, they can be open to you, and all that. And another one too is their sense of depth of gratitude. They're very loyal people. Okay? We are very loyal, like
Yeah.
when you care for us, you care for our family, and if it's genuine, we kind of like want to do things right by you, you know, even with you not looking. And that's integrity, you know, and that's one of the things that I really am proud of as a Filipino. And we're into the third thing is we're into that growth mindset. We want to be able to improve ourselves by dealing with clients who come from, you know, who are world class citizens who can teach us one thing or two about the world and be exposed more in terms of business and in sharpening our skills.
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting too because the Philippines was heavily influenced by US for a long
Yeah.
time, and somewhat in a positive way and somewhat in not so positive way. You know, there's a lot of stories around how badly Filipino staff were treated by these US-based companies. And that's one thing I found as well is that there's a strong alliance between Philippines and Australia because typically,
Mhm.
you know, a lot of Filipinos report how amazing it is to work within and for Australians. And
Yeah.
I totally agree with what you say. Like my team, you know, we don't monitor pay slips, to timesheets. We don't do any of this screen grab or screen capturing of what it is. Most of my VAs have access to my Facebook account, to my Instagram account. They're in there every day posting on my behalf. They've got access to my credit cards, to my bank account details. Yet there is never a question mark that I have whether or not they're doing the right thing by me. You know, now part of that
Yeah.
is because of the recruitment process we have, but part of it is generally their nature. Now, in saying that, we have made bad hires. Years ago, we made bad hires, and we had VAs that ghosted us. They would be at work one day, and the next day they'd be gone, and you wouldn't be able to find them. Now, we
Yeah.
haven't had that experience for a long time. But can you talk about like what if I was a business and I was wanting to attract or to hire a VA? What are some of the tasks or what are some of the things that you think would be suitable to pass on to a virtual team member?
I would always say repetitive tasks and tasks that are going to be, you know, occurring daily. Those are the kind of tasks that you want to give to them so that they don't get bored. They have something to do every day. They feel like they're really employed. And then you want to also give the tasks that are things that you don't like doing, you know, like things that are probably not your strength, so that you can go ahead and brainstorm with the brilliant minds of virtual assistants and know some more ideas on how you can improve your business. So
Yeah.
just like social media management, content marketing, even technical side of it, like website development and even project management. If you have a team of VAs, then you want to go for somebody who has managerial experience, right? And then you can also tap into their skills, their talents in terms of appointment setting, soft skills, hard skills. Like they can call your clients, chase for bills, unpaid, a lot of amazing things that they can do for you.
Yeah, as I shared before, like we personally haven't found a limitation of what VAs are able to do for our company, and even to the point you mentioned something before, like we have a number of VAs that are managing external teams for us, managing external contractors in marketing and so forth, managed by a virtual team member. So there's huge amounts of benefits from there. Let's talk about what I'd like to talk about. I look back at the past, and I think that there's many times that we failed hiring virtual teams, and I used to think that it was because they were bad hires. Now, I've realized since that I think many of them were good hires, but we were bad leaders. We were bad managers. And so we didn't onboard them properly. We didn't train them properly. We didn't get them up and running properly, which meant they looked like bad hires. But the reality was it was us as business owners that weren't taking the responsibility. What are some things that people could put in place? And I guess this wouldn't just apply with VAs, but if they're looking to bring somebody on board to ensure that they can get the most out of them and can really make them a good cultural fit.
They need to really put in place a huge plan, a plan that's concrete in terms of training them, number one. Number two, like their guidance. What is their form of communication with you? How do you engage them? And how do you recognize their contributions to what you're doing? So if they're kind of just lost there, not knowing what to do, they're going to be gone. They're not going to be motivated to work with you. And you're going to have to really train them up in a month or 2 or 3. I remember when I was joining with the Game Changers, I know it's kind of messy at the beginning, but every day you guys were with us, like training us up and then letting us become aware of the mission and vision of the company. And we get to align ourselves in that mission and vision so that all of the other things that we're doing, all of the tasks that are being delegated to us or projects that we need to think of, whether that's quarterly or annually, will be aligned to those values and to that core mission and vision of the company.
Yeah.
That's very important.
Yeah. Yeah. It's funny because it's often a complaint we hear a lot from business owners is that they can't find good staff. And we're not just talking virtual staff here, we're talking staff in general. I can't find good staff. My staff can't do what I can do. They're unreliable. Their work ethic's not there. Like complain. And to be honest, staff is not something we've had an issue with for a long time as a company, and something we see that our more senior members stop having issues with as well. Because hiring staff is no different than putting out a marketing campaign. The same kind of principles apply, and we go through that in depth in my book, The Path to Freedom. We start off with vision, mission, values. Without that fundamental foundation, like how can you hire a staff member? Most companies hire people based on skill set rather than a values fit. Whereas skill set is something we can train someone on. Values is something they've grown up with. And so hiring someone who's a good values fit that we can then train the right skill sets on is far more beneficial for the company than hiring someone with a great skill set and a poor values fit. In here, we go through our actual hiring process for how we hire all staff, whether they're virtual assistants or local staff members. Even, I think we've got some downloads that include the scripts that we have for interview process, because it's just a system. Like once you get this right, you can do it again and again and again and again and again. You're getting a bunch of love come through. I can see here for comments. Looks like people that you've placed VAs for. There's one here from Vanessa. I don't know how I live without my VA, and 100% agree with what you're sharing before around their work ethic and so forth. Jade Scott said, brilliant, May. Tim from Brisbane. A big issue is how involved would I be in training my new hire? But I also don't want to leave them helpless. And what if someone breaks? Lol. How do you resolve this? So there's a couple of questions there. Thanks for your question, Tim. And anyone else watching tonight from anywhere in the world on the replay, live stream, please put in your comment and we'll answer them below as well. Put in your question. So it's got to how involved would I be in my new hire? First question, I guess. How involved would I be in my new hire? Let's say you've hired somebody and their start date today. How involved should I be as the business owner in them coming on board?
Well, if it is your first time to hire a remote worker, you must be involved 100%, So unless you have a manager working side by side with you, who's going to be able to take over and do the training, then go ahead and delegate that to that person. It's very important. I was able to encounter a client not being satisfied with the virtual assistant. And when I did the root cause analysis, through my sessions with the VA is kind of confused whether to report to the CEO or to the assistant. And that's very important, for you to be able to identify the sense of direction that you have put in place for your VA.
Yeah.
So go ahead and be 100% involved. If he is going to be doing the task that you were doing before, because I think you're going to have to clone yourself to that person. So might as well, involve 100%.
Yeah. And to add to that too, chapter 5, we talk about organizational chart, which is important to have a clear line of accountability, right, within an organization. Now, I guess something that you do very, very well is if it is their first VA hire, is you actually work with the business owner and work with the VA to create that relationship dynamic from the get-go to ensure that it's a success. Now, if it's not their first hire, you're less involved in that, but it's still very important that dynamic gets done right. Now, that being said, we teach a process, and it's a process we teach in the book as well, Tim, is that you as a business owner shouldn't be the one that systemizes your business. You're the worst person to do that. Number one, it's not the best use of your time. And number two, you'll either overcomplicate creating the systems and processes, or you'll make them far too easy and miss things out because you do so much unconsciously in your day-to-day role. So we teach the process here of how to hire staff. And then when you get them set up, all you really need to do is onboard them effectively into the vision, mission, and values of the company, set up meeting cadence around how often you're going to meet and the topics to discuss during the meeting, which we also give the framework around this as well. But then from there, it's a matter of actually allowing the VAs to kind of sink or swim. And that's all staff members. If you've done the right job in hiring, if you've done the right job in hiring the right staff member, it's important to allow them some space to, as you spoke about here, some space to kind of break or to grow, because it's often through our breakdowns that we have breakthroughs. And if we're micromanaging staff, VAs or normal staff, number one, why do we even hire them? Like, it's going to cost us more time and it's going to cost us more money to micromanage them. And number two, you're not actually conditioning them in the get-go to be able to resourcefully operate in their role. So part of it is onboard them properly to the vision, mission, values, set the guidelines and standards and the cadence of when you're going to meet, and then step the hell out of the way. You know, teach them how to do something, record it on Loom or screen share software or something. Let them go and build the system for it. But use the system for writing system framework that we speak about in the Path to Freedom book as well. So hopefully that answers your question. Some feedback here from Tom Cross to answer the question, what your VA does. At the moment, Tom's another one of your clients, mate. At the moment, data entry, CRM management, and general admin. We've been talking about getting him to do a lot more than that in the future. You know, that's the important thing to start with as well, is it's like when you hire a staff member, I remember for me, I used to think that VAs were like superhuman. I was like, I can hire one VA and they can do everything in my business. They can reconcile my accounts, check my emails, do sales calls, do content marketing, do data entry. There's this false perception, I certainly had it, that they can do everything.
Yeah, because you're going to leave us to figure things out, and we're going to be rock stars at doing it.
Yeah, but that was why we failed so much. You know, now it's like, bring them in, task them on doing the most critical thing that's going to save you the most amount of time or make you the most amount of money, right? Either or both. Get them experts at that, and then give them something else and something else and something else. The hardest thing in the beginning is them actually getting used to how you communicate and used to them delivering a result that's what you expect as a business owner, because there's a communication issue there. Once you've given them one or two things and they take on board what you say and they deliver the result that you expect, it's very easy to go and scale that up and give them more tasks and more things to do. And as you said before, mate, like, they're very resourceful to train themselves up as well.
Agree.
Yeah. What's the most fulfilling thing you find about your role?
Did you say fulfilling?
Yeah.
You know, like what I said, you know, I was an operations manager for a lot of people. It was very stressful, right? But what's good is when I transitioned to becoming a freelancer or a virtual assistant for the Game Changers, I was the same thing. And I realized, you know, before, when I used to think about leadership, it's in just 4 corners of my office or at my company. And now when I joined you, I was amazed by how much reach I can do globally around the world. You know, I can talk to you while you're in Australia. I can talk to any Filipino VAs and coach them and mentor them and see a lot of changes in them professionally and in their lives, even in their personal lives. So that's what's fulfilling about my role in Alchemy and the Game Changer.
Yeah. What's the worst experience you've had as a VA? You don't have to use names, or you can. What's the worst experience? Yeah.
Is that in the superlative form or comparative form? Did you say worst?
Yeah, worst. Like the most horrible, the worst experience you've had.
Okay.
Confession of a VA. Confession of a VA.
Confession of a VA. I think it's just dealing, dealing with like emotions, I think, because that's one of my opportunities, areas for improvement, should I say. And I would always like look at it like when I was dealing with Canadians before or Americans and all that, and I would compare it to dealing with Australians. Then I look at them and then I always just think about how I'm guided by my principles and all that. And, I always just instinctively think, I just need to be outspoken. I don't care if you're white, you're black, or whatever. So I think one of the worst experiences that I experienced was, dealing with emotions when something, not right or something that I didn't like would come about, and how would I express my feelings about it? Because if I bottle it up and not talk about it, I would feel worse. I'm not going to be at my best. So that's one of the things. And I always teach this to all the virtual assistants, like if you're feeling not right about something, why don't you talk about it? Why are you telling it to me? So I teach them, I really push them to like, okay, this is how you're going to talk to your client. So yeah, that's one of those things.
Was that difficult for you to learn how to express like vulnerably to your, boss, employer?
Um, it's not supposed to be, but I think Filipinos were born and were taught to, when they're in school, they would just go ahead and say yes or no to their teachers. Not really kind of like, like in the first world country, you're really gonna be told to raise your hand and say something and ask questions, and that's the difference. So I'm very lucky, very fortunate that I came from a Chinese school where it's so competitive. Every year of my life, I'm achieving great things because we were taught to be outspoken. I had classmates who were Australians or Americans or Indians, and I was exposed at a very young age. So the lack of exposure is what's making them not talk. And if they find some sort of comfort or some advice from me and say something like, hey, and they listen to stories coming from me on how it panned out, how it happened, and how I did it, I give them some sort of strength and ability that, hey, you can do it too. If I did it, you can be able to do it.
Yeah, I love that. Love that. Thanks for sharing. We had a question here from Tim from Manila. And if you're joining us live, please hit the love button. Let us know that you're there. And feel free to put in any questions you've got for myself or May during this live stream as well. So Tim from Manila, May and Barry, please tell us the best VA plus client success story that you know. May, what's the best VA success story you've got?
My story. my story. My best VA story. No, let's talk about the VAs that I have. There are VAs that I helped through, like they couldn't even talk well or speak well. But then when I interview them and I see that their values are actually aligned with my personal core values, or, the basic values like integrity, and then the willingness to learn is there, I really take my time in, giving them free sessions on how they can improve on nailing that interview, because that's the important thing. They want to have to, they need to talk to the client during the interviews. And then best story is several times I was able to do it, 2 3 sessions, 4 sessions, and they were able to get it. They were able to get through, and they're really thankful about that, because now they can become they're a virtual assistant who can be able to take care of their parents who are actually suffering from cancer, and they're very thankful of their client because they're treated so nicely, that they're always appreciative of their efforts of what they're doing. And when I hear stories like that, it just gives me goosebumps that at least I was able to help a little bit, and the clients are so happy about it, and the clients are saying my mornings are better, why didn't I do it before, and all that. And until now, I'm just shocked that VAs are actually sharing those stories to me, and it's life changing for
Yeah.
them.
I never forget. So I flew over to the Philippines, December 2018.
That's right.
I
I
flew
was just
over
one
there.
month old. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, just after Christmas time to spend New Year's, and flew all you guys in the team into Davao. And I'll never forget, I had a conversation with Pat, one of our VAs who's been with us for about 4 years, maybe
Yeah.
longer now. Pat joined us in client care, very shy, very quite withdrawn, didn't have a lot of skill sets outside of some that we hired her for at that particular time. And we moved forward and found that she wasn't the best fit for the client care role, although she was doing it. Pat now is one of the most valued assets we have in the company. She is phenomenal in terms of her skill set when it comes to web development. She does a lot of member portal stuff, like a whole bunch of things. But I remember that trip, she sat around and shared with me that she grew up. So we went and bought a bunch of food and took it to a local school and donated it to kids and to parents that are less fortunate than us, which was something we did, a charity thing over there. I remember Pat shared with us, she was crying doing it. And she's like, this means so much to me. Like, I used to be that child growing up. People would come here and deliver Jollibees, is the food that we delivered. She's
Yeah.
like, Barry, I grew up on nothing but rice and salt. Like, I was brought up eating rice and salt as a meal, right? And I was getting teary hearing her share this. And she's like, because of you, I've just purchased a block of land to build my own home.
Yeah.
Right. She'd been with us
Remember.
for 3 years, 3.5 years at that time. And through working with the Game Changers, she'd purchased a block of land. And from the get-go, when she joined us, she always wanted to kind of be off the grid and out of the system. And to
Mhm.
watch her grow and evolve and come into herself to do that is amazing. And only last week, my EA, Trisha, who does all my executive assistant stuff, she's also does appointment setting for us. She moved into her new house, and she's actually bought a house with a partner, like it's their first own home together. And she said the same thing, like this wouldn't be possible without employment with the Game Changers. And I guess for me, that has so much meaning to see that these amazing human beings, these amazing people that have had these less fortunate backgrounds than so many of us have over here in the Western world, through employment and doing an outstanding job, has been able to, buy a house for themselves or buy blocks of land, buy cars for their parents. And it's not because we pay them huge amounts of money. Like, sure, we pay above the award wages, but it's just because of the significant currency difference between Australia and the Philippines as well.
Yeah, and when they used to work in the office before in the corporate setup, they were earning less because of so huge taxes. They were actually being deducted some contributions. They had like a basic salary that's high, but then they also, the expenses also come to play in terms of travel, Barry. Or like when you treat your friends, for example. For me, like for me, when I used to work as a manager, I would treat a lot of people, and that's already out of the equation, and that means savings for me.
Yeah, 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 yeah. It's an incredible opportunity. So tell me, like, what do you see happening in the virtual space and businesses moving forwards, based on obviously going through this recent COVID thing and opening up a lot more opportunities? I know that a lot of BPOs in the Philippines weren't
Yes.
able to operate, had to shut down. Like, what do you see is going to be a transition now from what we've just been through, or what's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I just spoke with two of my friends last night on Zoom for an hour and a half, and they came from Wells Fargo Bank. So um, what I see happening right now is a lot of people are dying to have this virtual kind of job, and it's
Yeah,
because they're afraid that there's no vaccine yet. So a lot of them will be exposed out there, and there's not even like mode of transportation. If they don't have a car, then they're gonna have to walk. So there's a lot of obstacles that they're facing right now, and they want to go ahead and ask the same questions to me on a weekly basis. I would always get inquiries like how to be like you, how to transition from an office work to freelancing, or how to become a virtual assistant. And now it's actually these talents are now available to
yes,
all Australians,
yeah.
all
Not just
Australians,
all
but
Australians, but
Americans.
all businesses
Mhm.
around the world have got access to incredible talent.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's what's exciting about it. And as long as they understand what it takes, because it's not a walk in the park. When I started, I think, okay, I'm exposed to a lot of skills. I know what to do, but it's not a walk in the park. You know, you're going to have to be really resourceful. And then you're going to have to do something even when no one is looking, and your resilience, you know, will be tested. So I always talk to them about these things that I've experienced, and how do they set themselves up for success is very critical.
Yeah.
And they need to find the right match of client, you know, that they're going to be working with. I'm really fortunate, you know, that Trisha, you're one of your VAs, my friend, and I was highly recommended. For them, they're struggling. They're struggling to look for an ideal client. I'm lucky I found my ideal.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And I guess that's the thing, like if you're a business owner entrepreneur right now, maybe you're a sole trader, maybe you have a team, maybe you've tried virtual assistants in the past, or maybe you haven't tried them yet. Um, Personally, I highly recommend it as a proven and profitable strategy to grow your business, because they can do a lot of the tasks that are repeatable. They can do a lot of the tasks that maybe you've find it hard to find the exact right skill set locally. And saying that though too, because of that exchange difference in the rate of pay, you get them at a fraction of the cost of what you'd pay maybe a local staff, and you get someone that's more hardworking, more committed, 9 times out of 10 an amazing culture fit as well if you do your due diligence right. But I just think it's a very, very powerful way to grow your business, because as a business owner, especially earlier stages, where we're doing the cleaning and we're doing, the bookkeeping and the accountancy and the marketing and the sales, and, we're doing the delivery of the product and thing, we're doing these different things. But the reality is often we do it because it's like, A, we think that no one else can do it as good as us, or B, because we can't afford to hire somebody else. Yet there's all these different tasks that bring in a different return on investment. And if sales or delivering the thing or installing the thing is where you make your money, why would you be investing your time doing bookkeeping? Or why would you be investing your time following up quotes or chasing debtors? A lot of business owners have a huge amount of money owing to them in debtors. Yet for the cost of, a couple of $1,000s a month, they could hire a full-time VA to chase debtors up, to keep them, at a suitable level, to, follow up lost opportunities or new quotes. So I just think that it's an amazing opportunity, as you mentioned before, that there's more talent available now than ever before, and incredible talent that have worked in high level positions. Like May, you ran a team of 200. That's a super high
Yes.
level position. To then have you frontlining for Alchemy Outsourcing, like hiring VAs and placing VAs is phenomenal.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Tim said again, for Barry and May, what's the prospects for Alchemy Outsourcing ahead, expanding overseas? What Southeast Asia countries in the radar? I heard many in Indonesia willing to train. I'm wondering, Tim, whether you're asking like in terms of expanding talent pool or expanding in terms of client. Like currently outsourcing, Alchemy Outsourcing services clients all around the world. And particularly for this point in time, we've just focused on Filipino staff purely because there is just so many amazing staff there, and we know the culture so well. What would you share, mate?
Did you say, what can I share about the talents of Filipinos?
Well, yeah, Tim's question. So what's the prospect for expanding overseas? Is there any Southeast Asia countries on the radar? I heard many in Indonesia would be willing to train as well.
Yeah, you can source, people from India, or even in any country at all globally. But, I'm just really particular with helping my Filipino community, have some sort of stable jobs and all that. And because of the pool of talents and their exposure and their experiences, they need to put that into good use, in improving a lot of businesses, medium businesses, small businesses, are just helping a client get through the day without working 15 hours a day. That's our focus. How can we outsource?
Yeah, and the Philippines is probably a little bit ahead of most other countries in terms of
I
outsourcing,
agree.
and the amount of time they've been involved in this type of work means a little bit ahead in terms of training, in terms of knowing how to do things the right way. I know many people that have outsourced to Indonesia, to India as well, with a lot of success. But as May said too, like she's super passionate about her fellow Filipinos, and there's certainly plenty there that would still benefit from finding an amazing job. So
Yeah.
what I'd love to know is if you've enjoyed this episode, hit the like button and also comment like what was the number one takeaway for you from today's episode. May, like if someone wants to get in connection with you, maybe have a conversation around outsourcing, maybe they're unsure, maybe even look to hire somebody, what's the best way to get in contact with you? Is it through alchemyoutsourcing.com website?
Yeah, they can connect to me via Facebook, or they can send me an email at hello@alchemyoutsourcing.com. I will talk to Lily, or send me an email or a message on Facebook. It's actually going to be easier because I'm going to be able to reach out to you immediately, give you a phone call like I always do, and then start from there.
Fantastic. So I'll get Rafi to put a link in the comments as well. If you'd like to get up to date with the latest of the Freedom Series live stream episodes, please click on the link that we put in the comments below. Sign up so we can send you upcoming guests, and also let you be the first to get your copy of my new book, The Path to Freedom, where we speak about all things building a business that's profitable, purpose-driven, and can work without the business owner. May, thank you so much for your time this evening.
You're very welcome. I'm glad I'm able to share my thoughts around the questions that you asked, Maya.
Yeah. And thank you to each and every one of you guys that have spent your evenings or your days with us as well. Look forward to seeing you in the next episode.
Thank you.